To straighten this all out, columnist for the Virginian Pilot, Kerry Dougherty. Great to have you with us, Kerry.
Morning, John. Thanks for having me. I'm not sure I can straighten all this out, but I'm here to help.
Okay, well, help us out because I read your column on Sunday, not cutting the mayor here any slack whatsoever. Why?
Why? This is just extremely disturbing to those of us who are sort of good government types who just want transparency in our government. These are very disturbing allegations, I think, at this point.
First of all, I want to commend the job done by the pilot. You know, we don't get this kind of old-fashioned investigative journalism, that kind of non-sexy stuff that you take weeks and weeks to compile. I thought John, a writer for this, John Holland, did a fabulous job.
John Holland is an old-fashioned investigative reporter. He's fabulous. He spent, it wasn't weeks. John, my understanding, and I wasn't involved in his reporting at all, was this was months of work. He went through every single vote City Council took since 2009. You know, I think that was upwards of 3,000 votes. He poured through documents. Then he had to go through deeds of trust. It takes the kind of patience and tenacity that a lot of reporters don't have. And this is one of the reasons we need a local newspaper here. If anybody wants to say bad things about the pilot, today is not the day to do it.
No, look, I don't think it is. I mean, this is really the role when you talk about the Fourth Estate. You know, I grew up in the industry.
Right.
I mean, this is what you got involved in it for when things started. Now, you know, because of the downturns and because of the partisan attitude that many media companies have one way or the other, some of that's gone away. But certainly John Holland, in this instance, brought it back. If you would, because we have a statewide audience that may not have seen this article, Kerry, Virginia Beach, the biggest city in Virginia, just give an overview. Share with our audience basically what went down here.
Well, and honestly, I'm not as involved in this story. As I said, I wish John Holland was here to talk to you. What he did was he connected votes that the mayor took that benefited borrowers of the bank, that appeared to benefit borrowers of the bank, whether it was selling them land at reduced city land at reduced costs so they came into compliance with setback rules or whatever. There were zoning changes that benefited borrowers of the bank, and he has recused himself from several. He's made a big show of not voting on certain things when he thought his bank would be involved in lending. So that's the oddity of this, is John Holland was able to point to 60 different instances where the mayor went ahead apparently without any sort of disclaimer and voted. Although there is a disclaimer apparently on the minutes and agenda items that the mayor gives, saying that if he accidentally votes on something benefiting town bank, he didn't mean to do it.
It's kind of a blanket disclaimer that he gives, which is kind
it
of
undermines our conflict of interest laws. If that worked, wouldn't every single politician just offer a disclaimer before every vote? That you just, well, you know, I'm a good guy, so I would never do that. If I'm doing something wrong, it's an accident.
Now,
silly.
Councilman John Moss, a conservative on city council in Virginia Beach. Many people know him around the state. He's kind of a Tea Party rock star, if you will. He just got reelected to city council for another term on Tuesday. He didn't waste any time. He came out calling for a state or federal investigation.
Absolutely. Well, I think that has to happen. I mean, it probably needs to start in the city as well, in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. I mean, these are serious, serious charges, and the mayor needs to stop hiding under his desk and basically give us an explanation other than he doesn't read the things he signs. And, you know, we haven't heard the mayor's side of the story. Let's be fair about that. We don't have, that's all we have right now. He refused to sit down with John Holland. He said he was preparing for a trip to actually go case by case through the votes that he made. So we haven't heard from the mayor. We need to hear from him. But there needs to be an investigation because, you know, there's a possibility that conflict of interest laws were violated here.
Well, I think he made a big mistake in not meeting with the pilot. And, I mean, if I was him, I'd have put off his trip or delayed it or done whatever you have to do in order to at least explain these. I thought some of his explanations to John Holland and other people in the pilot over the phone were very weak, saying that he didn't really remember every deed that he was on and he didn't remember every vote that he made, and some of them got past him. And I was saying earlier, Kerry, I think, you know, if you had 5 or 6, you might be able to say, okay, you know, he recused himself 100 times. These were 5 instances he just screwed up. but there's 60.
Exactly. It's the magnitude. I mean, everybody. I think the mayor said in the story, I'm only human. I make mistakes, and that's absolutely true. I mean, we all do. But this is the magnitude of these votes really deserves an explanation to the people. Bob Dyer in Sunday's paper in a story that John Holland did as a follow-up, along with John Moss, said he owes an explanation to City Council. Not really, Bob. He owes an explanation to the voters of Virginia Beach, to the taxpayers, and the people. I can't answer my emails fast enough. I answered about every hour yesterday. I answered another bunch. People are very upset about this. They feel like the city has been run like a men's club for a long time, a private club, and that this seems to reinforce that feeling that it's not a level playing field in Virginia Beach.
Well, it definitely feels like crony capitalism. Now, we also saw on Tuesday Ben Davenport winning city council in Virginia Beach, who was supported by all of the developers in town. And, this is an instance that every city across Virginia has when you have people on, you're going to have various people on council, and actually development is a big issue. But I think when you've got a mayor of a city, the biggest city in Virginia, that is very politically active. I mean, it would be another thing if, Sessoms took a back seat, low profile, nonpartisan. I mean, Kerry, he does the opposite. Will Sessoms makes Virginia headlines. He gets in the Washington Post when he backed McAuliffe. Now when he backs Warner, I could understand why he did that, because he said it was, in his mind, the best thing. Virginia Beach has got a right to do that. But for somebody that's running around Virginia in such a high-profile political realm to then be caught up in this, look, you play with matches, right? You get burned.
Well, exactly. I mean, we don't know. I'm just so frustrated that he isn't giving any answers at this point to the public. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to respond immediately to something like this and put all these suspicions to rest, because it doesn't look good. It's extremely troubling. It raises so many questions about what's going on City Council, and the fact that these votes are unanimous is irrelevant. He's the leader of the council. There isn't a whole lot of independent thinking going on that body.
Well, I think it was in your column, and you pointed that out Sunday, that the whole unanimous thing was completely asinine, because Will Sessoms is a strong mayor, and so if he stakes a position out on something, then a lot of council members want to go with him, right? They don't want to get on his bad side.
Well, he's backed a bunch of them for their seats.
Right.
He's a strong supporter of his allies on council. That's politics. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of votes are unanimous, and it doesn't matter if it wouldn't have changed the outcome. That really doesn't work as an excuse to me. We just like good government. We want to feel like everybody has a level playing field. Everybody looking for a variance has the same chance as somebody who's borrowed from the bank. It's just and there's a perception that it's not a level playing field in Virginia Beach, and he needs to address this, and he needs to address it soon. We've just had an election. There's, people are very focused on politics right now. This is a good time for the mayor to offer a good explanation.
We live in a post-Bob McDonnell world.
Exactly.
And so the tolerance for the shenanigans in Virginia is really, it's just, there's just no tolerance there. And
John, we have laughable conflict of interest laws in Virginia. They are so easy to comply with because they're basically non-existent. If you're not complying with those very basic, weak laws, oh my goodness, I don't even know what to say.
Hey, Kerry, if people want to read your column that you had on Sunday about this very issue, where do they go?
Well, they go to pilotonline.com, go to opinion. I'm there. You have to look at my ugly little face for a minute, but you can find Sunday's column. And really, John Holland is the guy. You got to read his pieces because it's just laid out really well. I think it's just the facts. He has no opinion in there. He's just laying it all out, and it's very troubling.
I think it's troubling, and I think it's damning, and I think the mayor has to answer for this. And as I said earlier, you look at the way that Jory acted in the Bob and Maureen McDonald trial so quickly. I just think Virginians are done with all this nonsense, and those that haven't gotten the message they better get it pretty fast. Agree or not?
Oh, I agree, and I think there's got to be a lot of politicians in a lot of cities right now sweating.
Well,
That's all I'm going to say, sweating.
They're sweating.
Because I don't believe, I believe that this, I don't know, I believe that we have a lot of problems in local government down here in Hampton Roads.
All right, we're out of time. We want to thank
Thank
Kerry
you.
Dougherty for being with us. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, John.
Kerry.